This rich kid's dream life shattered. Drafted as player 100. The dungeon's host? A sophisticated yet lethal rabbit chairman. Beware the fluff. He executes rule breakers without hesitation. Respect the GM or die. Survival demands absolute obedience. Randomized weapons gave 𝒗𝒗 a pathetic, useless dagger. Crimson eyes glowed. The nightmare dungeon game finally begins. Darkness hid monsters. This was a literal, inescapable hell. Constant traps eroded their sanity and will to live. Minor mistakes meant death. Desperate players hunted each other. 𝒗𝒗 was targeted as zero combat support class weakling. Bullies mocked his trash-tier meat processing production skill, a depressing status window for a doomed, low-level player. Seung-ho intervened. His aura silenced the thugs instantly. One cold glare sent the cowards running in terror. Rest now. Tomorrow, we reached the final destination. Morning brought boulders. Warriors sprinted for their lives. Seung-ho led, but hidden traps waited in shadows. Bombs erupted. Seung-ho urged the survivors to push forward. A pitfall opened. 𝒗𝒗 vanished into the earth. No time to rescue. The boulder was closing in. Seung-ho abandoned him. The rabbit GM cheered loudly. Impaled on spikes, 𝒗𝒗 lay broken and alone. He prayed for a rescue that would never arrive. Above, Seung-ho's godlike strength shattered the golem boss. Stage 1 cleared. But the rabbit's grin remained sinister. This was just a warm-up, the GM mocked them. A reward descended. Holy light healed the exhausted survivors. Wounds closed and fatigue vanished like divine magic. Even lost limbs regrew. Divine energy surged through all. Underground, 𝒗𝒗 began to glow with power too. Full recovery. Stage 2 reconfiguration began immediately. He signaled for help from the deep abyss. The rabbit GM found the dead system error. A glitch? 𝒗𝒗 shouldn't be breathing right now. Forbidden from playing, he was now a forgotten prisoner. Just rot here, the bunny GM sneered coldly. Left to starve in the silent, dark dungeon depth. But 𝒗𝒗's survival instinct finally ignited fiercely. Inventory open. He feasted on high-quality crafted ham. I will show that rabbit how I survive. His trash skill became his ultimate, life-saving salvation. Safe from monsters, he plotted his grand escape. A secret tunnel to bypass the hellish trials above. Digging deep with newfound purpose and survivor's grit. Infinite inventory stored the earth. The legend begins now. While evading the beastly horde, the system grants 𝒗𝒗 a new skill. Earth grinding. A trash skill for molding dirt? He collapses in total, soul-crushing disappointment. He activates it anyway. Suddenly, his hands erupt in a blinding, divine light. Bored of slaughtering warriors, the pink rabbit descends to find his mangled corpse. Instead, a massive tunnel awaits. The rabbit enters, sweating with pure, cold anxiety. The cavern expands. The creature stands frozen at the impossible, epic sight ahead. A luxury suite? A handcrafted bed? When did this failure build a hotel? 𝒗𝒗 emerges, perfectly calm. He is preparing a legendary steak dinner alone. He extracts raw soil from his inventory, adding water to soften the earth. With master precision, he crafts a royal plate. The rabbit stares in bewilderment. Care for a bite? He asks. The rabbit's jaw hits the floor. A mere apprentice builder living like a king? This makes absolutely no sense. The feast is interrupted as a violent tremor rocks the dungeon's deep foundation. The dungeon is restructuring. The trial is over, and the world is shifting. Trapped deep below, 𝒗𝒗 fears he will become a fossilized stone tomb. The rabbit cackles. Use your last breath to build your own nice grave. The shaking stops. Nothing happens. His room defies the laws of the dungeon. His creations are glitches. The smug rabbit admin now trembles in pure terror. You can't touch me. 𝒗𝒗 realizes his newfound absolute safety from the admin. A thunderous roar. Something is smashing through the heavy walls, trying to escape. An underground flood bursts through. The rabbit cheers for his sudden, watery death. But light shines. 𝒗𝒗's inventory glows with desperate, ancient power as water rises. He dumps tons of earth, racing to plug the breach against the pressure. The seal holds, but barely. Suddenly, the system announces a legendary skill evolution. Level 5 achieved. Earth grinding evolves. He can now shape matter with his mind. Perfect bricks manifest instantly. He reinforces the crumbling dungeon walls with ease. A spark of architectural genius ignites. He focuses his power on a new goal. A magnificent medieval fountain appears. The rabbit's mind finally begins to break apart. "It's useless," the rabbit screams. 𝒌𝒗 mocks its lack of scientific knowledge. He installs iron pillars. This is high-level engineering, not just simple magic tricks. Using Newton's laws, he tames the flood. The rabbit suffers a massive headache. Physics in a dungeon? The rabbit's head explodes as the fountain begins glowing. Achievement unlocked. Maximum luck. A legendary reward appears before his very eyes. Fresh fish in every pond. Now, he feasts on grilled salmon and pork. The rabbit watches in spite, praying for his stomach to explode and die. If the high admins see this bug, the rabbit's career is officially over. A dark idea forms. The rabbit grins wickedly as 𝒌𝒗 falls asleep. It lures a monstrous dungeon beast, guided by the scent of his food. Sleep-talking, 𝒌𝒗 insults the beast, calling it a pathetic, fat pig. "One punch!" The beast roars in agony as 𝒌𝒗 finally wakes up. Enraged, the beast charges. It shatters the bed, throwing 𝒌𝒗 flying back. He begs for mercy, but the monster's hunger for human flesh is bottomless. He remembers his training. Even low-level monsters have patterns. He must time it. He is just a support class. One mistake means a bloody, certain end. Think, 𝒌𝒗. He channels his power, raising a massive stone fortress wall. Earth ramparts rose, yet the soil crumbled under the boar's savage charge. 𝒌𝒗's defense shattered, but he wasn't done. He conjured walls of stone. Exhaustion set in. This endless cycle would soon drain his life force dry. With a cold gaze, 𝒌𝒗 dropped a mountain of rock, crushing the beast. The rabbit watched in horror. How could a lowly support be this monstrous? Usually, rank 1 warriors possess mediocre survival arts. Mastery takes years of toil. Skills evolve through blood. Yet 𝒌𝒗's progress defied every law of nature. In this hellscape, survival skills are the only currency of the living. Growth is forged in the fires of life-or-death combat never easily attained. That trash mud skill reached a level unseen for a mere rank 1. It was an illogical surge of power. Meanwhile, 𝒌𝒗 ignored the rabbit's shock. He began his masterclass, butchering the boar with the precision of a god. His blade danced, carving through flesh and bone in a rhythmic symphony. 30 minutes passed. 𝒌𝒗 smirked, asking if his skills were finally enough. Using a skull as a skillet, he prepared a feast amidst the darkness. He rendered fat into torches, replacing the light lost in the battle. The rabbit screamed. "The scent will draw every predator in the woods." But that was the plan. 𝒌𝒗 had already laid a field of steel. A boar appeared. The rabbit realized 𝒌𝒗 was baiting the entire forest. The beast lunged, only to plummet into a cloud of dust and debris. The trap was lethal. The boar was skewered instantly. Easy meat attained. Days passed. 𝒌𝒗 grew stronger and sturdier, much to the rabbit's annoyance. "You're getting sluggish," the rabbit lied, hating the sound of his chewing. 𝒌𝒗 grinned, taking another bite. Watch and learn the art of eating. Purification removes the rot, leaving only the divine essence of the meat. The rabbit was mesmerized before realizing it was being teased by a glitch. Another boar fell. This one was a prime specimen, dripping with fat. Elsewhere, the scouting party stopped dead. A mountain of boars awaited them. No one believed a single man did this. That man was 𝒌𝒗. Achievement unlocked. He gained Boar's Might, an explosive 10-second power buff. The cooldown was 100 seconds. But now, they had to retreat. Young Michael sighed, wishing 𝒌𝒗 was there to cook a grand feast. 𝒌𝒗 looked somber. They saw 𝒌𝒗 as a mere cook or purifier. Killing is simple, he thought. But true survival requires much more than steel. 𝒌𝒗 had carried them through the abyss when they were at their weakest. He is stronger than any of us, even his former bully finally admitted. While they mourned his absence, 𝒌𝒗 was busy harvesting his literal mountain. He too unlocked the Boar's Might, leaving the rabbit pale with dread. The area only held 40 boars. But 𝒌𝒗's glitch was stacking spawns. Luck meets broken mechanics. He was farming an infinite army of beasts. Nearby, a curious squirrel found a crack beneath an ancient, weathered tree. Inside was a glowing paradise filled with the scent of roasted marrow. It became the squirrel's secret heaven, a sanctuary of endless, delicious bones. One day, it found a piece so succulent it felt like an explosion. 𝒌𝒗 smiled. The trap was set. The little creature was officially hooked. 𝒌𝒗 wondered if devouring 100 squirrels would unlock a hidden system achievement. Suddenly, a golden alert flashed. Achievement unlocked. Benevolent Squirrel Guardian. Luck was abundant. He decided to spare the clever creature for now. He named it 𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒏. The intelligent beast understood every single command perfectly. This was his chance. He followed 𝒏𝒈𝒆𝒏 toward the light of freedom. Sunlight finally broke the darkness, warming Deng Dao's weary, tearful face. Tears fell as he gazed at the vast blue sky and lush grass. It felt heavenly, but the peace was shattered by a sudden predator. A wolf lunged. Its fangs crushed a grazing sheep's neck in seconds. Chills ran down his spine as a bloodthirsty pack surrounded him. He turned pale. He hadn't even reached society before facing certain death. A scarred alpha closed in. Deng Dao ran for his life, terrified. His luck had vanished. The wide path let the predator follow him underground. He cast Earth Crush, desperately walling off the approaching monster. The wolf was too fast, shredding his earth defenses with lethal claws. A deep gash marked his face. A direct hit would have been fatal. Cornered, he activated his secret trump card, the boar's strength skill. As the beast lunged for his throat, he prepared a lethal counterstrike. Boom! A massive kick sent the wolf crashing into the cavern walls. Dust exploded everywhere, but the resilient monster was far from finished. Pushing his level 1 limits, he dodged every strike while empowered. 7 seconds remained. The predator refused to stop its relentless assault. The cave groaned. Deng Dao leaped, grabbing a sharp iron spear. Channeling every ounce of strength, he unleashed a devastating finishing blow. The spear pierced the skull. Blood sprayed, but the beast countered instantly. A final claw strike sent him flying hard against the stone wall. Boar's strength faded just in time to prevent fatal internal injuries. With a 100-second cooldown, he realized speed was his greatest enemy. Gasping for air, he struggled to stand as the wolf lunged again. The predator charged with blinding speed, jaws wide for the kill. Staying calm, he saw the beast left its throat wide open. He thrust his palm forward, casting Earth Summon inside the wolf's gullet. A massive explosion rocked the cavern. Later, the pink rabbit visited. Expecting a corpse, it was shocked to find Deng Dao working hard. He wore legendary armor fashioned from the heads of his fallen foes. The rabbit panicked. If he escaped, its dark secrets would be exposed. It begged him to stay, promising everything in this underground prison. Freedom was everything. He refused to be a caged bird anymore, but he wouldn't be reckless. He needed absolute preparation before the climb. He began scouting the surface, analyzing every dangerous threat that awaited. Using earth weights, Deng Dao pushed his physical limits every single day. He discovered physical mastery exponentially boosted his secret skill power. Constant training evolved his abilities far beyond simple system level-ups. His stats soared. Skill duration increased while cooldown times plummeted. One wolf was just the start. The real hunt begins now. To survive the unknown, growth is his only path. Our hero's iron resolve finally hardens. Every day, Kim Su pummels his training dummy. Soon, his core strength skill reaches level 3. He is now a powerhouse. One kick can shatter a beast. Fear is a thing of the past. The hunt begins. While the wolves stalk prey, they realize they are the ones being hunted. Fully armored, Deng Dao strikes like a predator. He leaps high, spear aimed for a lethal kill. 2 strays are in his sights. His squirrel buddy joins as Deng Dao unleashes boar power. One wolf falls instantly. Seeing its partner slain, the remaining beast erupts in a murderous rage. It charges blindly. Deng Dao waits for the perfect moment to deliver a devastating jaw-shattering uppercut. The beast hits the cliffs hard. Deng Dao's speed now completely eclipses these low-level plain wolves. A barrage of mountain-level punches leaves the wolf broken. The pink rabbit, however, remains unimpressed. While Deng Dao basks in his victory, the rabbit plots a more dangerous and deadly trial. The rabbit mocks him, claiming other players are leagues ahead and slaying dozens of beasts effortlessly. As the rabbit boasts, a chilling howl echoes. The wolves are calling for massive reinforcements now. The earth trembles. A monstrous pack is approaching, signaled by the thunderous sound of many paws. Can you handle a whole pack? The rabbit taunts. Or was that small victory just a fluke? Deng Dao smirks. They clearly underestimate his physical augmentation skill and his newfound power and evolution. With his stats boosted 2.4 times, he makes a tactical choice to live longer. Pride won't save him. See ya! I am heading back for a nap, he shouts, retreating instantly. The rabbit's provocation failed miserably. Frustrated, it leads the wolf pack straight to his secret hideout. Predicted. Deng Dao uses his earth manipulation to seal the entrance, leaving the wolves scratching dirt. The rabbit's plan fails again. Safely tucked away, 𝒗𝟗𝟗 surveys his reinforced and hidden bunker. 7 escape routes are ready. He knows a direct confrontation with the swarm is still suicide. What if they find a way in? He muses. The threat of an ambush looms over him. If they block the exits, he is finished. Time to stop hiding and take the fight. He deploys his squirrel scout to track the pack, warning it to stay far downwind today. Wolves have keen senses, so he stays below to craft lethal surprises for the coming war. Intelligence report. 3 wolves are busy feasting on a fresh sheep carcass. It is perfect timing. Positioning himself in a hidden tunnel, 𝒗𝟗𝟗 readies his unconventional arsenal for the coming ambush. He pulls out specialized earth clumps and spears. The long-range bombardment is about to finally begin. Infusing his throws with boar strength, he launches a spear with the force of a missile. The wolves are stunned by the shockwave, though his aim proves to be slightly rusty today. They dodge the initial volley and charge toward his position with terrifying and predatory combat speed. Are you even trying? The rabbit jeers. Your lack of combat experience is showing, you rookie. It warns him that plain wolves are masters of agility. Close-range combat will be his doom. The rabbit thinks he is cornered, but 𝒗𝟗𝟗's true trap is only just now beginning. He switches to his earth clump projectiles, activating his strength skill for a maximum impact strike. These aren't just distraction stones. These are compressed death spheres meant to end the fight instantly. Don't underestimate mud, he laughs. These heavy hitters carry more weight than a falling mountain boulder. Each 20-kilogram clump, boosted by boar power, delivers a soul-crushing impact to the targets. The rabbit stares in horror as tiny clods become lethal. But 𝒗𝟗𝟗's focus suddenly wavers. 2 down, 1 to go. Suddenly, the third wolf strikes from his blind spot with fury. This alpha-level beast slams him into a tree with a bone-shattering strike from its powerful paws. Thanks to his Iron Man-grade armor, the damage is negated. The wolf lunges for him. Sharp fangs clamp onto his neck, but he trusts his legendary defense to withstand the pressure. The wolf tries to crush his windpipe, only for its teeth to shatter against his plate. Luck was on his side. The pigbone's insane density let 𝒗𝟗𝟗 barely escape death. That one-horned pig is the ultimate Tier 1 predator, boasting defense that outclasses any ordinary beast. It is no shock that it tanked the plains wolf's assault with such overwhelming physical power. Only 8 seconds of power left. 𝒗𝟗𝟗 rapidly gathers earth crystals into a massive, lethal orb. He fires a finishing blow at the disoriented wolf, whose reflexes were shattered by the impact. A violent explosion rocks the entire forest. 𝒗𝟗𝟗 follows up by crafting more lethal earthen spears. After shredding the wolf, he utilizes genius guerrilla tactics to systematically exterminate the entire local pack. Using hidden tunnels, he becomes a ghost in the brush, clearing monsters with terrifyingly efficient precision. The plains wolves are being wiped out. Terrified, the remaining beasts form defensive packs to survive. But they can't hide. Using the squirrel Boku as a living radar, 𝒗𝟗𝟗 tracks every movement. This perfect scouting gives him time to train his body while staying ahead of the enemy's location. His strength reaches new heights. Now, the wolves can't even get close enough to graze his skin. After endless training and blood-soaked battles, 𝒗𝟗𝟗 can now effortlessly slaughter 3 wolves at once. Aiming for the top rank, he prepares to regroup. Meanwhile, the rabbit watches with pure hatred. Fuming with rage at his growth, the rabbit curses him, unable to strike without breaking rules. His armor lies in ruins after the slaughter. Creating such gear was no easy feat for him. If only he could manipulate bone next. But the forest has grown strangely silent today. Too silent. Other players must be struggling, unaware that 𝒗𝟗𝟗 has already emptied the area of monsters. Seeing the administrator's annoyed face every morning is the only motivation he needs to keep going. He asks for directions, but after the rabbit's predictable outburst, he prepares for the next phase. The rules are clear. Kill or be killed. To win, 𝒗𝟗𝟗 knows he must find allies. Soloing the boss is impossible for now. He needs a team to bridge the massive power gap. He is still in the early stages, far from strong enough to face the ultimate nightmare alone. 10 days have passed since his return. It's time to scout the terrain before the others arrive. Just as expected, a group of 5 players is currently pinned down by a pack of wolves. Chaos erupts. The players panic, their formation crumbling under the sheer pressure of the wolves' ferocity. Even their leader freezes, his mind racing as his comrades scream and the rabbit mocks them. The wolves charge through the dust. For the rabbit, this carnage is pure bliss after 𝒗𝟗𝟗's presence. However, the captain fights back. He's hiding a secret skill called wind harp, ready for release. The more he swings, the more destructive the power becomes. But it's a dangerous, double-edged sword. This skill doesn't distinguish between friend or foe, making it a lethal gamble for everyone nearby. Blinded by panic, the captain abandons all caution, swinging his axe like a madman at the beasts. This is the rabbit's trap. By inciting their deaths, 𝒃𝟗 will be left without any support. Without allies, his survival rate drops. Meanwhile, 𝒃𝟗 continues his lonely search for other players. Even the squirrel is clueless. Seeing no other option, he decides to settle in and wait. To pass the time, he decides to build a massive earthen observatory to overlook the entire forest. He pulls out crystallized earth blocks from his inventory, stacking them like heavy, enchanted bricks. First, the foundation. He constructs a solid earthen wall, remembering the core lessons of structural integrity. Without cement, a tower would collapse instantly. But 𝒃𝟗 has a hidden trick for this. His experience in the deep caves pays off. He uses the earth grind skill as a binder. By simply touching the blocks, they fuse together instantly, creating a structure stronger than any mountain. This isn't just a simple tower. It's an impenetrable fortress of earth designed for ultimate vision. After 10 hours of intense work, a massive spire rises high above the emerald forest canopy. From this height, the sunset is breathtaking. A moment of peace in this world of constant slaughter. 𝒃𝟗 relaxes, unaware that elsewhere, other players are screaming in a desperate battle for survival. Forget monsters. Humans are slaughtering each other as food supplies finally vanish. When survival is at stake, true malice awakens. The administrator grins in delight. His twisted plan is succeeding perfectly, as the player count rapidly plummets. Suddenly, a survivor points behind the rabbit. The massive structure is finally spotted. Distracted by the bloodshed, the administrator finally notices 𝒃𝟗's incredible tower. The rabbit fumes, but 𝒃𝟗 proudly displays his legendary architectural masterpiece. 1 floor every 4 hours. 10 hours total for this entire fortress. The wild boar skill made construction effortless. No monsters dared to interfere. 2 hidden achievements unlocked. First, a legendary map covering the entire sector. This god-tier interface sorts every player and tracks every monster in real time. Hostile threats glow red on this radar. It is the ultimate survival tool. The rabbit's face turns pale. This support skill is completely, utterly broken. Achievement 2. Master Architect. A title even legendary masters failed to reach. Construction speed is now doubled. His efficiency has reached an inhuman level. Fatigue is gone. He can rebuild this tower instantly if he chooses. 𝒃𝟗 even considers placing a rooftop bed for a cool night breeze. The administrator trembles. This glitch of a player is shattering the balance. If others find this place, the brutal dungeon becomes a 5-star luxury resort. A vision of players enjoying luxury amenities flashes before the rabbit's eyes. The dungeon will become a joke. Alert! This man must be stopped. I must prevent him from finding survivors. Meanwhile, another squad finishes. They spot the tower, but the rabbit intervenes with a desperate lie. Congratulations! That tower over there is a safe zone I prepared for you. The players hesitate. The rabbit's sudden kindness smells like a lethal trap. Suspecting a trick, they flee the opposite way, away from the haven. Every group is lured away. The rabbit awaits a coming, terrible horror. He checks his watch with a sinister smirk. Cleanup time has finally arrived. 𝒃𝟗's map reveals 4 monster hordes beginning their synchronized hunt. Suddenly, yellow dots flood the screen. An exponential surge of deadly enemies. Hundreds of monsters charge toward 𝒃𝟗. The earth begins to tremble. Mutant rats with glowing eyes. Thousands form a literal tidal wave of fur. A relentless swarm, pulverizing and devouring everything in their path. 𝒃𝟗 sprints for his observatory, escaping the encroaching, hungry vermin tide. These monstrosities spawn every 4 weeks during the dungeon's brutal regeneration cycle. Mindless, gluttonous predators that consume anything blocking their way. He realized too late. It is the 4th week. The reset begins. The map is empty of players. They are either dead or fighting. There is no other choice. 𝒃𝟗 must find the others immediately. He calms his terrified companion. The legendary map will guide them safely. In a desolate ancient temple, the roar of a primal beast echoes. A squad faces the stage boss, but the power gap is absolutely despairing. The monster toys with them. They haven't even scratched its thick hide. Inside the trial, the final boss stands. It is absolutely, terrifyingly overpowered. It mashes the humans easily. Suddenly, a bald warrior roars in fury. He unleashes every skill in a suicide charge. Then a scream echoes. In an instant, the strongest warrior was vaporized, leaving only a pool of blood. The boss loomed over them. Escape was impossible. Paralyzed by sheer terror, the survivors could only pray for a miracle that would never come. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the battlefield. A devastating strike from the left forced the Titan to turn. The creature's clay arms shattered. Just in time, 𝒗𝒗 arrived, wielding his legendary earth manipulation to save them. He pulled them from death's door. But before they could breathe, the boss's severed limb lunged with murderous intent. It possessed high-speed regeneration. Without hesitation, 𝒗𝒗 summoned a brick, imbuing it with overwhelming boar might. He launched the projectile with lethal precision. The impact pulverized half the monster's skull in a spray of debris. Yet, the fragments crawled back together instantly. The damage only fueled the beast's blind, soul-crushing rage. 𝒗𝒗 realized the old legends were right sometimes. Running is the only option. But it was too late. This Titan wasn't just immortal, it was fast. The behemoth closed the distance, cornering him in a heartbeat. As the giant bore down, 𝒗𝒗 searched for an opening. Then, a crucial lesson from Sung Hu surfaced. To topple a giant, you must take its legs. He needed to ground it before delivering a fatal strike. He struck with surgical precision. The survivors watched in awe, wondering who this mysterious, godlike warrior truly was. A girl, though trembling with fear, rallied the others. They couldn't let 𝒗𝒗 face this nightmare alone. "Give me 60 seconds, 𝒗𝒗 shouted. He needed time to synchronize his boar strength for the final blow. "Watch your back," he warned. The monster shifted its focus, launching a pincer attack on the two nearby allies. In that split second, the group rallied. They threw themselves into the fray, refusing to let their savior down. A man in yellow screamed for orders. "Focus all your power on its chest," 𝒗𝒗 commanded with authority. That was the weak point. The beast had been subconsciously shielding its core after every devastating, heavy swing. As they rained down attacks, a revelation struck. This boss wasn't flesh and blood. It was made of pure earth. If it is made of soil, then this is his domain. His support skill was the ultimate countermeasure. Physical strikes were useless, but his mana-infused earth manipulation could ignore its defenses. He just needed one opening. With a calculated strike, he shattered the core. The once unstoppable Titan crumbled into a massive mountain of dust. The threat was gone, but greed remained. The players immediately began bickering over the pink rabbit's legendary rewards. 𝒗𝒗 didn't care about loot. He was finally part of a team. But the pink rabbit was livid. "This is ridiculous," the rabbit shrieked. "The game isn't over. Prepare yourselves for the next hellish stage." A gate manifested before them. With no other choice, the survivors prepared to step into the dark, unknown. They thanked 𝒗𝒗 for the save before vanishing through the portal. But when he tried to follow, access denied. The system flared red. The dungeon itself was rejecting him like a virus in the code. Left behind in the void, he returned home defeated. 7 days later, the dungeon reset. But he remained. He couldn't rot in this hole forever. His ground squirrel stayed loyal. Even as the world was rewritten, the observatory was gone, but the tunnels remained. Only the surface followed the system's rules of restoration. That's when it clicked. The system isn't the creator, it's just a parasite forced onto a pre-existing world. If he could find the gaps in the logic, he could go anywhere. The game's boundaries meant nothing. Death Mountain. That was his goal. A place so dangerous the system warned every player to stay away. The journey was a bloody slaughter. Wolves swarmed him by the hundreds, threatening to tear him to pieces. Warning. Exiting Area 1. The pink rabbit appeared, its voice dripping with fake concern and pure malice. "Turn back, 𝒗𝒗. Death Mountain is the world's end. You won't survive the crossing," the rabbit warned. He ignored the warning. By exploiting the minimap's blind spots, he carved a path toward the forbidden peaks. He ran like a madman, eyes locked on the horizon. He would break this dungeon or die trying. Small fry were obliterated in an instant. When the swarms became too thick, he simply went deep underground. Digging tunnels kept him safe and invisible. With his map as a guide, he bypassed the system's guardians. Finally, he reached the border of the rat domain. One step forward, and he was officially out of bounds. The pink rabbit screamed in a panic. "Come back this instant!" But 𝒗𝒗 just smirked at the creature. He had found the loophole. The administrator couldn't follow him here. This forbidden land belonged to him now. Controlling this territory could split the world in two. Only 2 weeks remain. Before the next reset, 𝒉𝒗 plans to build experimental observatories right here. Usually, surface structures vanish during resets, but this zone follows different laws. If this place remains, the terrain will no longer hinder his path. He will finally escape. Checking his inventory, he finds a mysterious golem core. A legendary boss drop. It manifests anything he draws into physical reality. Priority 1. Digging a tunnel. High ground shelters attract too many dangerous eyes. No need for human forms. He needs something efficient for traversing deep caves. 𝒉𝒗 attempts to craft a mount. After several failures, a masterpiece finally emerges. A 6-legged elephant. Maximum stability. He inserts the core to grant it life. It breathes. A new achievement grants him absolute authority over all his creations. Elsewhere, Pink Rabbit leads a raid party, but the boss is already gone. Only a pile of mud remains. The rabbit fumes, sensing a familiar interference. That damn bug ruined everything again. Meanwhile, 𝒉𝒗 charges forward on his mount. Empowered by level 10 earth magic, the elephant's raw strength is simply staggering. They have carved a shortcut from Death Mountain directly to the Stage 1 boss. Without this beast, digging this tunnel would have taken an entire week. A brilliant move. Now, 𝒉𝒗 envisions his next creation. A dedicated combat unit. He needs a bipedal golem with arms to carry heavy loads and strike. The result? A massive King Kong. He immediately leads it to a rat nest. Time for a field test. The monkey's power rivals a Stage 1 boss. It crushes waves of enemies, but the rat swarm only grows larger. The numbers are overwhelming. 𝒉𝒗 realizes he needs a wide-scale destruction plan. He fashions a massive clay boulder. Kong! Throw it! The sphere flattens everything. Strategy shift. The elephant becomes an ammo depot for the monkey's relentless barrage. Suddenly, the dungeon begins its regeneration. The rats flee in absolute terror. Even the squirrel trembles. 𝒉𝒗 hadn't expected the reset to feel this ominous. The map bleeds into darkness. Stage 1 observatories are being erased one by one. Only the Death Mountain outpost stands firm. This zone is immune to the reset, but monster signals are swarming the border, preparing for a massive unified assault. 𝒉𝒗 prepares his army. Elephant below, monkey and master holding the high ground. The earth quakes as the horde approaches. They're just experience points now, he smirks. Every monster in the vicinity is gathered here. It's the ultimate grinding opportunity. 𝒉𝒗 crafts endless earth shells. Fire at will. He and Kong rain destruction. Their projectiles fall like meteors. Yet, the rat tide seems truly bottomless. Even 𝒉𝒗's boar strength has limits. It is his only high-damage offensive skill. The cooldown is the only bottleneck. He must manage his timing perfectly now. Safe on the ridge, he waits for his skills to refresh for the next strike. But the rats are evolving. They begin stacking bodies to scale the cliff. 𝒉𝒗 tosses a massive slab of meat. The greedy swarm breaks formation instantly. Their living tower collapses. Seizing the chance, 𝒉𝒗 crafts a final, spiked weapon. Kong! Full power! The spiked earth bomb hits with the force of an apocalypse. A massive shockwave vaporizes the remaining horde. System alerts begin flooding in. Earth mastery achieved. Boar strength hits level 7. But the danger isn't over. Seeking safety underground, 𝒉𝒗 resumes digging, only to hit an indestructible giant rock. Forced back to the surface, 𝒉𝒗 faces a brutal winter. Heavy snow buries the world, making every step a struggle. The blizzard is a nightmare for travel, but it has one perk. The frozen hell has finally driven the rat swarms away. Since underground digging is impossible, 𝒉𝒗 pivots. He begins building a celestial observatory to craft powerful star golems. The dungeon boss has finally respawned. It is time to farm legendary cores and upgrade his mechanical army. 𝒉𝒗 mass-produces several new golems for the upcoming war. His private legion is ready for a full-scale assault. He tests his current power and is stunned. His Earth Crush skill has evolved into a force of pure destruction. Low-level wolves are now mere fodder for his strength. Yet, he remains cautious of the hidden monsters lurking nearby. Leading his golem army upward, the mountain air grows thin. The freezing temperatures are far more lethal than he expected. A sudden sneeze halts the entire march. He orders the massive elephant to stop, so the crew can rest. His wolf fur coat is warm, but the wind is biting. He needs a better way to traverse this Arctic wasteland. Using his skills, he constructs a massive protective dome. A mobile fortress now sits atop the elephant's back. 𝒉𝒗 realizes his trash skills are evolving. By applying modern knowledge, he creates things that defy the system. He installs an advanced heating system into the mobile dome. The mount has been transformed into a luxurious moving mansion. ***, system alert. ***. He unlocks heat control and pushes his army deeper into the jagged peaks. Visibility is near zero in the mountain mist. Fortunately, the path is smooth enough for the golems to advance steadily. Standing at the summit, 𝒗 feels a surge of triumph. But as he scans the horizon, something catches his eye. A strange anomaly glimmers in the distance. He decides to investigate this mystery before moving on. He enters an uncharted zone where the white rabbit stays silent. No one warned him about this mysterious stone building. It looks like a ruin from a forgotten civilization, a place that existed long before the current dungeon system. This ancient relic predates the modern world's logic. It is a remnant of a history lost to time. 𝒗 hesitates, unsure of what lies within. But, with curiosity burning, he decides to breach the ruins. With 5 elite golems as his shield, he fears nothing. He steps into the darkness, ready for any challenge. A bizarre statue catches his gaze. Though carved from stone, its detail is disturbingly realistic and lifelike. As he draws near, the statue suddenly roars to life. It is a living stone demon, and it is starving for blood. He summons his monkeys to counterattack, but they are instantly blown away. The demon's physical power is absolutely overwhelming. 𝒗 realizes the gap in their strength. Luckily, his golem's healing abilities keep them alive in this desperate clash. The battle turns into a stalemate of destruction. Despite his power, his attacks barely scratch the demon's stone hide. Retreat is the only option left. 𝒗 flees toward Death Mountain, his heart racing with the taste of defeat. Safe for now, he analyzes the failure. Standard Earth skills are useless against such a high-density stone demon. 1 golem was lost in the escape. Strangely, this monster is invisible to the system map, an out-of-territory anomaly. These ruins are the reason the rats never approached. A dark secret is hidden here, and he must uncover it. 1 month of intense training begins on the peaks. 𝒗 vows to return and crush that stone bastard. He lives as a sculptor amidst the jagged rocks of Death Mountain, mastering the art of stone to overcome his limits. Every failed sculpture fuels his obsession with revenge. The memory of that defeat haunts every strike of his chisel. But a breakthrough is coming. He recalls a mysterious item he found a month ago in the woods. While scouting, he accidentally discovered a legendary hammer, an item meant for a master of construction and destruction. It was a fated discovery during his lowest moment, a weapon capable of bridging the gap between earth and stone. He learned a bitter lesson. Earth cannot break stone alone. He needs a weapon that can shatter the unbreakable. Simply using golems as shields won't work anymore. He must arm his army with weapons of mass destruction. The rabbit hammer was too weak for this task. He needs something much more specialized to achieve true victory. To win, he must master the Stonebreaker King's skill. Rebuilding his army is the first step toward total revenge. He experiments with crushing earth into microscopic particles. A new fusion of high-level support techniques is born. ***. Success. ***. He creates high-grade ceramic, a material far more durable than any natural rock. He grinds relentlessly, smashing rocks day and night. What happens when this skill reaches level 999? With his arsenal complete, 𝒗 begins his strategy. The enemy is singular, but his revenge will be legendary. Winning a head-on duel against a flyer is suicide. Finding favorable terrain in this vast expanse is impossible. A ground confrontation is our only hope. But if that beast takes to the skies, all is lost. I doubted its aerial resistance. As I prepared Stonebreaker, a brilliant tactical spark ignited in my mind. I needed high-mobility golems to counter this monster. From the earth, 4 Minotaur golems rose to my command. Paired with a swift ostrich-like mount, my elite golem cavalry was finally ready for the ultimate charge. I took the lead, orchestrating their movements with surgical precision. The hunt was officially on. I ordered the cavalry to rain boulders upon the beast. Overwhelmed by the sheer volume, it took a devastating hit. Its wings shattered. It wasn't regenerating, meaning this monster lacked a core. This was my chance to strike. Utilizing my golem's recovery, I split them into tactical squads for a relentless, alternating cycle of destruction. I had prepared for every contingency. With these high-mobility units, victory was finally within my grasp. The monster dove for a frontal strike, the exact opening I needed. This was the turning point. I commanded my cavalry to pin its limbs. The beast thrashed wildly, but my golems held firm like iron. With the monster grounded, I unleashed my entire inventory's rock supply. A lethal rain of stone buried the creature. Even that didn't finish it. Gripping my hammer tight, I charged forward to deliver the final, crushing blow. I activated Boar's Might combined with Stonebreaker, slamming my hammer directly into the monster's skull. A deafening explosion rocked the dungeon. The beast finally fell. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 had claimed a hard-fought victory. My Stonebreaker skill proficiency surged fourfold. Meanwhile, in the shadows, a new authority appeared. A massive baboon sought out the pink rabbit. This was the level 2 manager, the rabbit's terrifying superior. The rabbit trembled with hidden rage, yet forced a smile. Why was this monster here now? The baboon sneered, questioning the rabbit's competence. Are you even doing your job properly, you pathetic creature? The number of survivors reaching my floor has doubled. How lazy have you been to let this happen? The baboon's pressure was suffocating. The terrified pink rabbit could only stand there in frozen, fearful silence. Back with 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗, he ventured deeper into the temple, discovering a hall filled with ancient, decaying remains. The stench of rot was overwhelming, forcing him to use Purify. Suddenly, a golem triggered a hidden trap. Arrows flew. I didn't expect traps here, but my golems acted as the perfect, indestructible meat shields. These golems are invincible tanks. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 then ordered them to demolish the trap-laden walls entirely. If the walls are gone, the arrows can't fire. It was a simple, yet effective dungeon-breaking solution. My golems were covered in arrows like steel hedgehogs. After cleaning them up, we pushed further in. The atmosphere shifted. I found strange, solidified oils and mysterious magic circles etched into the ancient floor. Moss covered the dormant runes. This place had been forgotten by time for centuries, or perhaps forever. Suddenly, 𝒏𝒈𝒄 cried out and vanished into a hole in the wall. What did that little guy find? We smashed through the wall to reveal a massive gate, the boss room, but it felt cold and dead. As the doors groaned open, I gasped. Before me lay the colossal skeleton of a legendary dragon. 𝒏𝒄 rushed forward, hungry for those ancient bones, but I held him back. Caution was still my priority. It turns out 𝒏𝒄 wasn't looking for a boss, he wanted a snack. Then, the system's voice echoed. Trial complete. Reward. Inheritance of the Dragon Tomb. I was now the master of this sacred sanctuary. The system's soul was fading, its existence reaching its end. It offered me this ultimate, divine honor. I understood its plight, but I had no intention of staying in this desolate tomb forever. My answer was simple. I'm going home. That was the only thought driving me every single day. If home is your goal, the system replied, then you must accept this legacy more than anyone. As the Dragon Lord, I would gain the power of the ancients, the ability to tear through space itself, interdimensional gates. I could go anywhere, even back to my world. But there was a dark catch. Creating such a gate required astronomical amounts of life force. The further the distance, the higher the cost. To activate the dragon's true power, a price had to be paid. The first manager's warning was clear. I needed life energy. I needed sacrifices. The path home would be paved with harvested souls. Energy flows through all things, living or dead. The tomb system reveals the truth to 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗. He is a destined sacrificial offering. His status window is the seal of the dead dragon. Master of the tomb. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 gains godlike authority over traps and spatial gateways. Elsewhere, Pink Rabbit is brutalized by a baboon and ordered to hunt the sacrifice, 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 activates a system gate using boar meat. A dark, mystical ritual begins. 2 gates are required for teleportation. One is simply not enough for spatial travel. A level 1 hurdle. With mastery, the entire world will be within his reach. 2 rifts open, linking space itself. Step into one, and emerge from the other instantly. Success! 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗𝟗 crosses the void, but 𝒏𝒄 is blocked by the system's invisible wall. Access denied. The system requires 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗𝟗's absolute permission for any being to pass. This is insane. He can now summon golems anywhere to crush any foe in his path. A perfect escape tool. Exhausted, 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗𝟗 explores the ruins' hidden, misty backyard, a realm veiled in endless clouds. Even the guide Alpha is ignorant of its secrets. Alpha only cares for the tomb's interior. The world outside remains a total mystery. Minimap active, gray for stone, brown for earth, and lush green signifying life below. A forest beneath the abyss? The world's edge looks like a flat, unexplored wasteland. Rock smash! He carves a staircase downward, conquering the very terrain with his skill. Not just exploring, he's building a strategic shortcut to the surface. A genius move. Meanwhile, Pink Rabbit is dying. HP and hunger levels are dropping into the red zone. The journey is endless. He curses his pathetic form, and this miserable, starving fate. Starving and unpaid. His only power is a kill right that yields him nothing. Every soul he takes benefits other managers. He blames 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 for his suffering. Predator rats swarm. As his strength fades, the former hunter becomes the hunted prey. Flight is impossible. The rats smell his weakness and close in for a feast. Surrounded by a sea of vermin, there is nowhere left to run or hide. He reaches 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗's tower. One final stand with his last ounce of fighting spirit. A tactical bottleneck. He lures the rats upward to slaughter them one by one. Pure brilliance. Despite his weakness, he dominates the narrow passage with superior skill. Exhaustion strikes. His stats bottom out, and he collapses into the cold darkness. Death looms. Until 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 arrives. He wakes up to the scent of food. The price of survival? Become 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗's support pet or perish in the dirt. The sacrifice is now the tomb master? The rabbit's jaw drops at the revelation. He devours the strange-tasting potatoes, tears of frustration and relief in his eyes. Demoted for breaking rules. He recounts his tragic fall from grace to 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗. The first stage has changed. A vicious baboon manager has taken absolute control. He was sent to capture the sacrifice. But 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 has a far better offer. Persuasion successful. The rabbit joins the team just as Alpha appears before them. The dragon symbol. It's real. They head straight to the tomb's majestic main hall. Impossible. The legendary boss room has been turned into a massive potato plantation. A terrifying dungeon turned into a farm? 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 is satisfied with this peaceful life, mining with a divine hammer and bullying rats. It's the perfect retirement plan. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 summons his meathead minions to flex his overwhelming, hidden power. These lackeys are stronger than floor bosses. The rabbit is utterly speechless and terrified. Convinced, he leaps onto the altar. The appointment ritual begins to glow with light. Light erupts. The pink rabbit's form evolves. A legendary new manager is born. The Alpha System Manager officially confirms it. Pink Rabbit's skills are finally recognized, pledging eternal loyalty to 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗. The rabbit watches as the cruel doghead tortures innocent players. As players fall, the doghead freezes. Why has his connection to Pink Rabbit vanished into thin air? It's lunch. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 calls his new subordinate for a potato feast and prepares a brand new name. Meat Potato. But wait, did 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 grill their squirrel friend? Suddenly, a very round Poku appears, bulging with bones like a balloon. Poku lunges at the golem to bury his secret stash. Saving is good, but Poku's digging is ruining the golem. Suddenly, a genius plan strikes 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗's mind. The order is given. Rabbit must grind those bones into fertilizer for their legendary dungeon farm. Life with 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 is brutal, yet Rabbit tastes heaven through gourmet dishes never seen before. The star of the show? Succulent stage. One wild boar meat that melts in the mouth. Next day, the doghead boss arrives, only to find his territory turned into a total mess. Just a pile of mud. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 stole the golem core, leaving the doghead fuming in absolute rage. Rabbit seals the gate behind them. Master and servant now venture deep into the ancient tomb. The system warns of wasting life, but who cares? Our MC has endless crops for vitality. Rabbit suggests a honey hunt. As they trek, they spot a group of thugs harassing a boy. To avoid trouble, 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 stays hidden. In this world, the strong devouring the weak is just nature. Suddenly, shadows move. A pack of vicious monsters launches a surprise attack on the group. Dark gnomes. They look weak, but these cunning predators will tear you apart if you blink. This is it. The moment of truth where humans awaken hidden powers to defy certain death. Fate hangs by a thread. 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 recalls his idol while the battlefield turns into pure chaos. Suddenly, the bullied boy collapses right into 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗's arms, trembling with terror and desperation. Save me! With a cold gaze, 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 moves like a shadow, obliterating the surrounding monsters. The threat is gone, but 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗's energy is depleted. His blood sugar is hitting rock bottom. Saved. The boy pulls a hoard of sweets and soda from his bag like a miracle. In this hellish dungeon, refined sugar is the ultimate elixir of life for our tired hero. That soda was a godsend. Recharged and impressed, 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗 decides to recruit this mysterious kid. Building a house in seconds? The boy, 𝒗𝒗𝟗𝟗𝟗, watches in awe as Dung defies logic. 14-year-old Dong Min is surprisingly bright despite his rough start. A true diamond in the rough. His secret? The saintly eater skill. At full hunger, his physical stats double instantly. It's like the boar's strength skill. But Dong Min has been starving since day one. Heartbroken by the boy's hunger, Dung vows to turn him into the dungeon's greatest warrior. Step 1. A massive feast. Meanwhile, Pink Rabbit is out on a dangerous solo mission. Disguised and trembling, Rabbit crawls through the fog to find the legendary rock salt Dung demanded. One wrong move and the dog head will catch him. The tension in the air is suffocating. Suddenly, Dung's voice rings through the system. "Come back if it's too dangerous," he commands. He's prepared the rabbit's favorite pork belly. Salt is optional, but his servant's life isn't. Under Dung's brutal training, Dongmin's growth is explosive. He's becoming a true monster hunter. From catching monsters to surviving wounds, the boy pushes past every limit for his master. Dung forces him to fight captured monsters. Blood spills. But the evolution is undeniable. Every wound is a lesson. Finally, the target is reached. Dong Min has truly leveled up.